Hey guys, I was watching another homeschooling mom's YouTube channel several months ago, and she had a video where she basically called us out as homeschool YouTubers, where she said, you guys, you make these videos and you make it look like it's no big deal. You know, we start off at 8 o'clock, that's when school starts, and everybody's wonderful and their hair's all combed and they're, bows in the girls' hair and they look fabulous, and you have all the subjects you cover and you're done by noon and you're just amazing, never have any fights or anything. And basically, she was calling us out. She was saying that is fake, stop doing it. It's creating so much pressure on all these people who come to YouTube to try to figure out how to homeschool. They think that this is reality and it's just not, so stop trying to make yourself look good at everybody else's expense. And I will be honest, my first response to that was, oh, I'm so grateful that, that stinging dart just went over my shoulder, because clearly I don't ever do that. I'm super honest and nobody sees anything that I'm doing as perfect. And I really felt like I'm doing a great job of explaining exactly how it is, and I'm not coming across it fake at all. And then the more I thought about it, the more I thought, that's probably not true. I think what happens here on YouTube is that you guys get to hear all of my ideals, all of my plans, all of my hopes and my dreams, and everything that I have put together that I think is going to look so amazing. And you don't ever get to see what it looks like on a regular day. And the reason I don't do that is because I'm quite protective of my kids. I don't want them to have anything online that would in any way, at any age, have them look back and feel like their dignity had been hurt, had been assaulted in any way. And so I just don't put my children being children on YouTube. I feel like that should be a sacred space where they're able to learn and grow and not have a camera on them all the time. So as a result, you only get to hear my side of it. You only get to hear the planning side of it. You don't ever get to see what goes on in a regular day. And I didn't feel like this was disingenuous at all, because I am just comfortable with the tension that exists between my ideals and the planning and the reality of what it looks like. So when I'm planning this, I already know we might not get to that experiment. We might not even accomplish that goal. The kids might not love this. It might not go this way. It might completely turn sideways. And I just know that that is a possibility, and I'm okay with it, because having this goal or this ideal that we're trying to aim for and shoot for, whether or not we actually hit it or even come close to it, I think is so important. Otherwise, we sort of wander around, and I'm left in this place where I feel like, what's the point? And nothing works ever, so why try? But if I'm constantly saying, because I'm trying to hit this point, then I feel like, well, even if we fell short of it, I know what I'm aiming for. And so I think seeing the ideals and planning based on the ideals is really important, but I think it is equally important to understand that that's not going to show up in your regular day, that all this stuff I talk about that sounds so great, it's real, it's true, but it doesn't look like that when you actually live it. So just for example, on a regular day, the kids are often not as excited as I am about my ideas, that I will bring it out and I will say, we are going to learn about the human body today. This is so exciting. And they're thinking, I don't care. It's just not as important to them as it is to me. And sometimes I can really get them excited just through my enthusiasm. And sometimes I can't. Sometimes we finish it and they just are like, I still don't care about the human body. I'm going to call that a win, because actually I've exposed them to something in a really positive way. And later when they become interested in it, they will be able to say, oh yeah, I remember hearing about this stuff before. So I'm good with it, but it's definitely not going to look like they're as excited about something as I am. That is something that they grow into. I start seeing that enthusiasm 13 years old at the earliest with my boys. Usually about 16 or 17 is when that starts to really come from them instead of just from me, that they start saying, this is what I am really excited about, and I want to talk to you about this, and they get me excited about their subjects. But up until then, I'm almost always the one who's more excited than my kids are. And it's not because I'm trying to force them to do things that they don't necessarily like. It's just they don't know this stuff. It's new ideas that they've never been exposed to before, and so they don't have the enthusiasm ready built into it. And that's not to say that they don't get excited about anything ever, because they obviously have the things that they do that they're excited about, and they do get sort of excited about the things that I bring up, just not to the level that you see on the YouTube videos. That it just there's a tension between those two spots, and that's okay. I'm comfortable with that. Another one of the dissonances between my planning and the reality is that sometimes when I plan it, I do my planning at the time of year when I have the highest energy, when I am the most motivated, when I'm most looking forward to all of the things that are coming up, and I love to plan. So just for me, that is super exciting. When the actual day comes up, my energy may be lower. I may look at the plan that I wrote and that I felt super excited about, and then that day I'm like, oh, don't you know we are not going to be dissecting anything today? It just can happen that my energy doesn't always live up to my planned energy. And that's okay too, that I just can say, there's got to be a lower energy version of this today, or we'll just put it off till tomorrow, and that's okay too, because some things just take more energy to get through than other things. If at all possible, I outsource those things. I try to find people who bring their own energy and enthusiasm to a subject that I find really hard to teach. But if I can't do that, then I just am okay with knowing that I'm not going to be super excited about everything every single day, and that's okay as well. Another time that this sometimes happens is when I pick up a book that I think is going to be so good for my kids, either because it's a classic and I feel like they're going to get a lot out of it, or because it just looked really cool from the cover, and I open it up and I start reading and I'm disappointed in it. Sometimes it is beneath their level, it is just boring stuff they don't care about, and sometimes it's way over their heads. And this happens a lot with Libraries of Hope, that I will get a book and I think that's going to be perfect, and as I get into it and start reading, I think, you've got to be kidding me, this is nowhere near age appropriate. And so that can be a little bit of a disappointment. Sometimes I push through on that and I say it's either going to get better or we're going to get into it and be able to push through. But sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just feel like, man, there's no way you're going to be excited about the Huguenots if we keep learning about them from this book. And so then I have to sort of, in the middle of the year, restructure my whole plan and say, I really thought that was going to carry us through several months or whatever, and it's not going to work, and so I have to rebuild it. I have to come up with something else. That's a part of homeschool, is being able to adjust and adapt, but that sometimes happens, that the books that I choose, which are a major part of the way that I teach, don't live up to my hopes for them, and I just have to be okay and say, okay, we're either going to grow into that or we aren't, but we're going to adjust. And the last thing that sometimes causes things to just not look nearly as cool in reality as they looked in my head when I was planning them is that the kids don't have the skills necessarily to do whatever we're doing. Maybe we try to do a craft and they just don't know how to do the kind of things. And so I spend the whole time trying to teach them how to do a specific brush stroke or how to deal with a specific medium. And they're just frustrated because it's hard. It's a skill that they don't have and they haven't developed it yet. And so they feel frustrated by the experience. I try to dial it back. I don't ever want a learning experience to be frustrating, because all we're learning there is frustration, and we're not picking up either the content or the experience itself. It's not good. So I try not to do that, but sometimes we run into things where kids just don't have the skills necessary to do it. You're talking math, reading, writing. This can be a frustrating and difficult thing. And like I said, even art. You can run into things and times where the kids are not capable of doing it when it comes to the skill. And so it ends up not being quite as pretty as I had presented it to be. And that's not because I'm trying to be fake, and it's not because I'm trying to pull one over on you. It's just, that is the tension between the ideal and the reality. So I hope that when you watch these videos or anybody else's videos, that you know that we're all just kind of holding up this ideal that we're trying to achieve. And it's important to have those, and it's important to aim for that. But don't ever think that it looks like that. It doesn't. Quite often, it doesn't look like that in my home. I'm okay with it because we are moving toward it. Over time and through the different lessons and through the different experiences, we are getting there. We're aiming at that ideal for a reason. It's not just to make us feel good when we do the planning sessions. We are actually moving toward that. But the motion of moving toward it is quite often not pretty. And you just have to say, that's okay. I understand that that's what it looks like. Getting to that goal looks a little messy. It looks a little bit hard, and dealing with things that aren't just all pretty and color-coded and just marvelous. So if you're in your homeschool journey and you feel like it just doesn't look like I want it to look, and it seems like everybody online has it all together and it looks perfect for them, A, that's not true. It doesn't look perfect for us on an actual day. It doesn't look like that. But B, being where you are in that messy place is actually moving to where you want to be. This is what it looks like, becoming what we want to become. And you are doing a really, really important job as a mom or as a dad. It's super important. This is stuff that really matters, and you're doing a much better job than you think you are. Keep it up. I will see you on the next one.